What has been your experience? How long did it take from discovery and basic science understanding of this drug to where you're at now? And then what do you foresee as being the timeline kind of moving forward?
Well, I think it's a little bit shorter. It's probably closer to 10 years, but it's still very long. A lot of people, a lot of patients who hear us may want to see it available for therapies in weeks and months and weeks and maybe days. But yes, so it takes it took us 10 years from idea to a real clinical candidate. That's how slow it is, unfortunately.
Well, it's hard when you're being thorough, and just like you said, with pregnant women, for example, having to make this kind of pro-con list of taking on adverse events. I know we've been following this closely with the NGF studies that have been happening where patients might have had to make a choice for having more damage or less. I think it's really interesting to think about how thorough you really have to be when you're developing these drugs so that you can give a patient that agency to understand what the risk might be if there is, and that takes time.
Right, and also, unfortunately, a lot of non-specialists, they don't understand how expensive it is nowadays to develop drugs. I'll just give you a number. So on average, nowadays to develop a drug for a major disease costs approximately $1 to $5 billion.
Wow.
So from discovery to approval. That's why most of these therapies can be only developed by major pharma companies. And it's like a food chain. You know, people like us, we discover things that we try to do things in labs, and our ability is very limited. And financial support from agencies like NIH or Department of Defense or CERM, I'm funded by all of them, but it's still relatively small money if you look at the real numbers that you need for development of these molecules. That's why the goal usually is to push us as far as you can, get some initial pilot human data, and then have a major strategic pharma company partner involved who can really afford the development cost. But unfortunately, I can tell you that this space was traditionally very difficult, and is it's so many therapies didn't make it, unfortunately, for different reasons. But one of them is that if this drug doesn't look commercially attractive for this major strategic pharma companies, unfortunately, no one is going to invest in it. And that's where a lot of therapies end their lives. And that's why we call it like a valley of death. When the therapy departs academic environment, people like you or me, you know, we are not able to push it forward anymore. We don't have resources. And if big pharma considers it, you know, not sufficiently developed, they may not pick it up at this stage and leave it sort of high and dry. And unfortunately, a lot of these great technologies, and I know dozens of those in various fields, that were basically left outside of the market just because they were not considered profitable enough or financially attractive, but they were working. That's a paradox that we and especially patients need to understand, that, you know, commercial aspect here plays a big role.